Hi guys, so part 2 is going to be focused on just experiencing divorce and how that brought me to a place of purpose. Okay. So these stories are all talking about taking pain or how our pain can become our purpose. Okay. So it's not all pain that brings purpose, but I feel like there is always a message behind the pain. Okay. I got to know this. It's not like immediately I was going through pain. I just I was able to just say there is a purpose. I could identify the purpose. Okay, it took me years to get to this place, and this is me sharing what took me years to discover to you, and this could just be a turning point for you. If God says, like I said in the previous video, if God says all things work together for good, He means it. I'm telling you, He means what He is saying. I got to understand this statement when I decided to sit back and see how situations have unfolded in my life over the years, even before I encountered Christ. And when I encountered Him, I just started reading through the Bible and seeing the words in Jeremiah 29 verse 11. He says in Jeremiah 29 verse 11, he says, I know the plans I have for you. They are plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to bring you to an expected end. I started seeing those words playing before me. I started seeing myself growing from a place of pain, a place of feeling like I was forgotten, like I had no hope. I started seeing myself growing from that pain and seeing purpose coming clear and alive in that pain. It's not like something that just happened in a single day, but I was able to trace things, which is why I keep advising people to get my book, because in my book you could see how this event led to another in different years from different situations, but yet all of it all of it fell into place, which is what brought me to a place where I started going out. I'm like, okay, this book has to be published, my story has to be shared, and I always tell myself, like, I want my stories to go far. I want people to buy into my story. I want people to hear my story. I want people to see my story. I want, like people say, viral videos and all of that. I want to have viral videos, all of those things. But that is not my main focus. My main focus is that the glory of God will shine through my stories. That my story will get somebody to a place where they realize that no matter what happens, there is life, where there is life, there is hope. I'm not in a place where all of my problems have been resolved. Like, I'm not in a place where I'm in this, like, completely fulfilled person. And I don't think that was what God wanted for us. God wants us to be in a place where we still rely on Him, because He has the roadmap and He is taking us a day at a time. We don't want to get to a place where we think we know everything. And that is what takes me to the focus of this part 2. So actually, I grew up in poverty, like I said in my previous video, and I started going to school. I tried my best. It wasn't easy because I was from a poor background. There were studies that I wanted to do I couldn't afford. But after a while, I completed the last stage of my study was actually being trained to be a teacher and getting my degree back in my country. Okay. And after that, I started seeing my friends were settling. Everybody was getting married and all of that. I was like, what is happening to me? So when I saw this guy and he had interest in me and all of that, there were so many red flags, guys. I'm going to be sharing this story briefly, but the story is in my book. You take the book. The book is your best bet, So when I met this guy, and I was like, wow, this is somebody that we could grow with. My friends saw him. He showed a lot of, like, good faith and all of that, and we finally, like, in spite of the red flags, I decided I blinded my eyes. I was thinking, I'm getting old, like my friends. This is me in my early 20s, guys. Anyway, but finally I got married to him. I had two children for him, and we worked like magic. Okay, he was very hardworking. That is something that I will never take for granted. and together we were able to raise houses back home. Back home is not like here in Canada or in the US where you have to mortgage and all that. When you build a house, you build a house. We didn't really have houses, we had stores. In my book, I explain how we got those houses, how we were able to complete the houses. I don't want to. This video is not going to be too long, but I'm going to share that at some point. So after there was so much abuse, physical abuse, psychological, emotional, financial. Where it's like, and then it started affecting my mental health so much so that I started talking back. Me that like I wasn't. It was difficult for me to. I started. So a lot happened, and that marriage crashed. Okay, and 1 week after the marriage crashed, he brought in another woman. Okay, and that is just a glimpse of what happened. So I left his house with nothing. So this is me that I grew up from a poor background. I've been able to work hard so much so that I acquired personal belongings, but because I got married to somebody that was not well to do, we put our belongings together from his own part, my own going to schools and like just leaving home and being able to establish by myself everything that I had built. I took and joined with what he had, and we raised a house. We raised a family together. Everything was gone because I couldn't carry those things when I left. He threatened to take my children, so I didn't want to like have to fight with those things. So I just left with my head and my daughters. Okay. So when I lost all those things, I was so devastated. Mind you, I had not had a personal relationship with Christ. So the first thing I did when I left and went back home, back to my family with nothing, was to encounter Christ, embrace Christ, have a personal relationship with Christ, and I began from scratch. It was so embarrassing. It was so horrible. Growing in a community where divorce was a taboo. Even just being separated brought like a lot of shame from my friends, like people who paid like transport themselves from far distances just to come and make sure that what they are hearing is true. Okay, and I would pass by and hear people gossip about me to my very face, point fingers at me, and I don't have like I couldn't even say a word. Okay, that was how bad it was. The thing that God saved me from was depression. Okay, it was difficult. There were times that I did things that people thought I was depressed, but I wasn't depressed. That was just how me showing that I'm in pain. I'm in pain. Anyway, it got me to a place where I encountered Christ, like I said, and everything changed for me. The prayer I made when I encountered Christ at that time was not, I wasn't like praying to God to punish my ex-husband. I said, Father, if you ask me if you should punish my ex-husband or you should bless me, I will choose blessing. And God blessed me in such a way. Like I made other wrong choices after that, like wrong decisions to go back to him and come back, all of that. But God ordered my steps so much so that I am seated right here. I mean, if you read my story and know from where I came from, you will know that for me to be here in the US or being able to just cross from Canada to the US, it's a big breakthrough. Like it's a mind-blowing thing. I remember the time when I came to Canada, like people were coming to my messenger and writing, like people were like, my God, your story has, like everybody was like, your testimony has blown my mind. I couldn't imagine. I didn't see this coming because I didn't have any relatives out of the country. How was I even going to even get to here, So God did it for me. Okay, and I started. How did purpose come in now? Purpose came in such a way that I started looking back. Some women died in abuse. I was beaten, I was battered, I lost everything. I didn't go through depression. I didn't die. That means God wants to send a message through me, which is why I decided, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to sit quiet. It's such an embarrassing thing to come out and just share everything like this, because you share even your flaws, But to me, if God's glory is going to be seen, if the testimony is going to bless somebody watching this video, I wouldn't hesitate. So with all that, I'm like, okay, with where I have come from in an abusive relationship and in an abusive and failed marriage, I don't want to see anybody go through abuse. I want to help everybody the way I can. So that is where purpose came in. And that is why you see me share my story about divorce, because I want to encourage you watching me. If you have just undergone divorce, you are in the process, or your marriage is failing, please know that there is hope. Know that God can help you. Seek help the best way you can, but know that the greatest help comes from God, and He is capable of pointing you to the right people that will help you through the right path. I hope you are blessed. Be encouraged. You are not alone. I love you. Bye.